Each year, armed conflict and natural disaster leave millions of people around the globe in urgent need of assistance. Every year, millions of children die from disease and malnutrition. And each year, Henry Dunant's appeal to all people in all countries is answered by the humanitarian movement he helped to conceive. Since its inception almost a century and a half ago, the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement has become the largest humanitarian organization in the world. It began in 1859, when Henry Dunant witnessed the suffering of wounded and dying soldiers at the Battle of Solferino. In 1863, his vision for a humanitarian movement was realized with the creation of the International Committee of the Red Cross. The following year, 12 countries adopted the first Geneva Convention, declaring that wounded and sick combatants were to be cared for humanely and impartially by both sides in an armed conflict.
If the new and frightful weapons of destruction, which are now at the disposal of the nations, seem destined to abridge the duration of future wars, it appears likely that future battles will only become more murderous. Moreover, in this age, when surprise plays so important a role, is it not possible that wars may arise from one quarter or another in the most sudden and unexpected fashion?
Sadly, Dunant's words sound prophetic today. Yet at the same time, wherever the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement serves, it injects humanity into inhumane situations. Now, more than ever, the world looks to all three interconnected components of the movement for hope and humanity. The International Committee of the Red Cross, or ICRC, is an independent Swiss organization that protects and assists victims of armed conflict. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies coordinates international relief efforts in response to natural disasters and humanitarian services unrelated to armed conflict. The third component of the movement is composed of the individual National Red Cross and Red Crescent societies that carry out relief efforts in nearly every country. Working both globally and locally, national societies provide the grassroots link with communities to restore and empower those they serve. The American Red Cross, founded by Clara Barton after the Civil War, is one of these national societies. United by a mission to relieve human suffering on a global scale, these three form the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement. The movement's emblems are recognized as protective shields during armed conflict, and at all times signify the humanitarian mission of serving those in need.
The child who draws a red cross with his crayon knows the meaning of the emblem he sees everywhere, on a parcel of bandages or medications, on the side of an ambulance, or on a flag flying over a hospital. In all languages, all over the world, the word aid summons up the emblem of the Red Cross.
The fundamental principles guiding the movement are accepted without question as the foundation for all action. Humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality.
In virtually every country around the world, you'll find a Red Cross or Red Crescent Society. You'll find our colleagues from the ICRC or from the Federation. The Red Cross movement itself is understood around the world. Governments understand that we have those principles of neutrality and independence.
As guardian of the Geneva Conventions, the International Committee of the Red Cross's role continues to grow. The ICRC relies on the principles of neutrality and impartiality to work on both sides of a conflict. The ICRC's presence is by consent and invitation of the host government or authorities. Working with quiet diplomacy, the ICRC often reminds them of their humanitarian responsibilities. Adopted by the world community, the Geneva Conventions were expanded until in 1949 they included protection for prisoners of war and civilians. The conventions are the primary legal documents for international humanitarian law, defining fundamental rights for combatants removed from the fight.
The Geneva Conventions are principally aimed at those people who are no longer taking part in the fighting, such as civilians, such as a soldier who has laid down his arms. So it is a way of setting the limits, if you like, on the way war is waged, but also very much to protect the people that are innocently and unwittingly caught up in it.
In addition to its conflict intervention, the ICRC is instrumental in providing aid in other ways.
There are the relief activities, that is food parcels to people who are hungry. It is being able to turn on water taps for people who don't have access to safe drinking water. There are the medical activities of having surgeons working in hospitals treating war wounded or delivering medical supplies to hospitals, or prosthetic centres fixing prostheses to people who have been injured by landmines.
The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies helps coordinate the response of the Red Cross in times of natural or technological disasters, when the relief efforts require resources exceeding those available locally. Because the Federation is the hub of a global network of member Red Cross and Red Crescent societies, resources are delivered through partnering and sharing.
Promoting the fundamental principles and humanitarian values is one of our major core areas, together with disaster preparedness and disaster relief and health and care in the community. When you have the huge earthquake hitting India, and at the same time you have a tragedy in Mozambique with the floods, we must help. This is our duty and our privilege.
It has been said, Red Cross workers go places others are trying to leave. National Red Cross and Red Crescent societies are ready to respond at a moment's notice when crisis strikes, helping survivors of war, upheaval, and natural disasters. Not only do individual national societies train workers to respond to emergencies within their own borders, but they partner with others on relief efforts worldwide. These interlinked partnerships build capacity and human resources by providing technical support and expertise to one another. This increases the capacity of affected societies to be more self-sufficient.
With some 300,000 professionals all over the world, and with roughly about 97 million volunteers and members, it is by far probably the biggest power ever mobilized to help the people in need.
As part of the international movement, the American Red Cross frequently provides assistance overseas in times of need.
The mission of the American Red Cross internationally is very straightforward. It's to save lives. It's to prevent human suffering wherever it may occur around the world. The American Red Cross has 90 projects in over 40 countries around the world. We do, of course, emergency response. That could be an earthquake in India. It could be a hurricane in Central America. It could be a famine in Africa. But we also address issues of health for young children. And that translates to very low-cost attempts to prevent things like diarrhea, pneumonia, measles, malaria, and malnutrition. Finally, we put a focus on promoting Red Cross values to the population here in the United States. It's teaching them about the fundamental principles of the Red Cross movement.
At first, I will say my thanks for the children of America. They help our schools and our people. School is very important. When we don't study something, it's very bad for our future.
Wave to them.
Yeah, goodbye.
Today, our world is interconnected. A global village where the chaos and confusion of armed conflicts and natural disasters may separate families by continents. Red Cross tracing and messaging services help families locate, communicate, and learn each other's fate.
Red Cross messages and tracing service is a very poignant service, I think. What you see is families separated. They could be separated because of an earthquake. You lose a child in a disaster like that. They could be separated because of a war.
The impact of armed conflicts, natural disasters, acts of terrorism, and other crises is no longer confined to boundaries defined by governments or geography. Human suffering far too often demands a global response.
And I think the fact that we are still working in places where people are suffering from conflict, which don't make the newspapers, don't make the TV screens, is ever more important in a world where we sometimes become dictated perhaps too much by what we see on the TV screen.
I think the challenge to the American Red Cross is to focus not just on the headlines, not just on the big events, but to focus on all those forgotten countries and forgotten situations that are so important.
For me, the beauty of the Red Cross movement and the ICRC is still in its simplicity. The work that we do, in fact, and the way in which we respond to victims of conflict is still very simple. It's still about food for the hungry. It's still about bringing people together who have been separated by conflict.
People working together throughout the world, saving lives, bringing hope, building a brighter future. It's about a shared vision, a humanitarian movement born well over a century ago, the Red Cross.